Hey everyone, welcome to POPXP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the POPXP channel. Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here, Nile Scala with the POPXP, and joining me as always is the teen sensation himself, Mr. Billy Tucci.
What is happening, man? Scala? How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
You know, I am doing pretty terrific myself, brother. You know, as a teen sensation, things aren't always easy. As you know, for being the main brain of the main, the brain of the main drain, the main.
If looks could kill my friend, I wouldn't be on this screen. I'm telling you. How can I look at you? You teen sensation, you son of a gun.
Teen sensation, right here in the house. Growing my hair long. I think I'm gonna keep growing my hair. What do you think?
Do it right down to the shoulders.
Should I do that? Like be
do
like
it.
Hippie?
Do it so like we can be like, you can be like, yeah, we got an amazing guest on tonight. Hey, I'm a teen sensation, Billy Tucci.
I'm just too lazy to go to the barbershop.
I'm going tomorrow, man. Going tomorrow. I got a wedding Sunday.
6 a.m.
I got to get fresh. No, I don't do 6 a.m. anymore. Remember that? Like, what are you doing? It's like 5 in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to get a haircut because now it's all by appointment.
Holy crap.
That's like one of the best things that this situation had brought on is my barber now does appointments. So I don't have to sit around I'd have to wait 4 hours getting there at 6 in the morning. I wouldn't get home till like 10.
Yeah, but don't you sit there with all the men and you guys talk or you just ignore each other?
We sharpen knives. We show how many features our Swiss Army knives have. You know, maybe an occasional donut or egg sandwich. It was fun. It's a good time.
Nice. I'm glad you go to a barber. I got to be honest with you.
Why? You go to a
Many
salon?
men go to beauty parlors to get their hair. My kids go to the beauty parlors now.
Do they get their hair washed? Do they get their hair shampooed?
Yeah, because Debbie takes it. I think they like the women's boobs in their heads and stuff like that.
I wouldn't complain about that either, though. It's like a neck rest.
Yeah, but then you gotta get crabby because now you're a dad, you know. Yeah. Now you gotta sit there with the crabby old man and you just gotta hear him complain about the tree and they got Fox News on and you're like, look at this. Can you believe this?
My Dr. Scholl inserts wore out in 2 weeks. It said 90 days, Billy.
90 days. Well, speaking of 90 days, we have a 90-day wonder here today, don't we?
A 90-day wonder? What does that even mean?
That's a lieutenant in the Army. They call them 90. They go to officers' candidate school for 90 days. So the guys that don't go to West Point, they call them 90-day wonders.
I had to bring it up for those out there watching, like 90-day wonder.
Yeah, no, we've got an overnight sensation on tonight.
Man, does this kid have talent? This kid has talent, let me tell you.
So who within, I don't know, what does he think? He's been doing this for a year, two?
I heard it was like, I think he's going on 11 months, almost a year.
Almost 11, almost a year.
Fully sponsored by Crayola.
Yes, he's risen to the ranks. And I mean, quite arguably, let's be honest. He's probably one of the greatest fantasy artists, illustrators, now fine artists, if you will, today. Huge fan base. I'm a huge fan of his. He's a great all-around guy. And it's just a true privilege to bring on my friend and yours. I don't know if you know. You ever meet him?
We're friends on Facebook, so technically in today's standards, that counts.
Yeah.
That counts. Yeah. You know, I can be like, yeah, my friend Dave, you know?
Yeah, well,
Dave who?
Look at us, man. Are we like best friends? We've only met in person like 3 times.
You're supposed to segue from that. You know?
Sorry.
Like, my friend Dave, you're like, you mean Dave?
Oh, you mean Dave Dorman?
What? Hey, Dave.
Hey, everybody. Sorry. Now, after that introduction, I had to go get a bigger hat because my head sort of expanded a little bit. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I'm hitting my first year in the business.
I think so. I think your new nickname should be Epic because all of your artwork screams epic to me.
Oh, geez. Okay, I'll take your word for
that. How are you this evening, sir?
Things are going well. You know, like everybody, it's been an awful 18 months, but I'd say that it's been a really good 18 months for me, you know, creatively. I'm healthy. My family's healthy. You know, it's finally spring, and so the weather's nice here in Chicago, and things are going fairly well. And artistically, I think that the past couple of years, especially this year, I've been doing the best work in my career. So I'm feeling good.
And that's saying a lot.
now, Dave, we were kind of joking around and everything, how long you've been in the industry, but when did you actually start being a professional artist?
I sort of put that date as probably spring of 1982. I had gone to the Kubert school in 78, and I wanted to be a comic artist, but I found that I was better suited doing single illustrations, and I was painting at the time too. So I directed my interest into painting, and so a couple of years later, I had what I was hoping was a good portfolio. Back in those days, you had to, go to the publishers. You didn't have internet and all the special delivery stuff, so you had to actually go to the publishers. And so I was living in Washington DC at the time, and I took my portfolio and I got the train up to New York City, and I just hit a whole bunch of publishers, and amongst those publishers were Heavy Metal, which actually bought the first piece that was ever professionally published in this field, July of 1982, I think it was, publication. And then during that same trip, Larry Hama bought a Barbarian piece that they used on Savage Sword of Conan. But that was published after the Heavy Metal piece. So, that trip really sort of opened the doors for me as far as getting into the business. Before that, I had done the same thing that kids do now. Kids.
But you're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook,
but
doing dances on TikTok.
But young artists, they still go to shows. They still take their artwork to shows and talk to the artists directly. And I did that. Back when I was in the Kubert school, I'd go into New York to the big shows, and when I got home in DC, I'd go to Baltimore, and I'd catch the train up to the New York shows. And so I'd just take my portfolio and I'd talk to all these people, and they'd give me advice, and I'd bring it back to the studio with me and put that advice into, the next bit of samples that I was doing. So eventually, I just kept working on it and got to the point where I was able to make that first sale. And then, I was getting known a little bit because I was, doing a lot of shows, and I was meeting people and, showing other young guys my artwork, and the connections through the Kubert school helped as well. Because this is really a business of connections. You have to make friends. You have to make FaceTime with people. The old type of FaceTime, not the new technical FaceTime. But so through all of that, I just started to get more and more work, to the point where in I guess it was about 1984, I started actually making a living at this, doing all sorts of goofy stuff. Prior to that, I do advertising artwork and stuff in my local town, and anything that would pay, a commercial artist. But really, my desire was comics. But then, being a painter, being an illustrator, it moved into my other interests, being science fiction, fantasy, and associated genres.
Do you have, now you said, because you were doing like commercial art too, you were saying like advertisement thing. Have you ever got a really weird request from anyone where you're just like, ooh, okay, I'll do it. The price is right, but this is definitely strange.
I can't really say that because, this whole genre is strange. The cat is here trying to get into my water. Say hello, kitty. Hello, kitty. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Cat. That's a big cat.
It is a big cat.
It is
Is that one of them bobcats?
No. No, Denise and Jack are allergic, so she had to research a cat that didn't have allergy hair. So that's, I don't know what brand that is. So
brand.
I lost track of the question.
Basically, what's the strangest piece you were requested?
The strangest, I really can't say. I've had some really odd personal commission artwork. We'll put it in the fetish category. And usually I shy away from that, but there were times early in my career where, work was work. And so I did a few of those, but they've never shown up on Google. So I guess they're still in private collection.
I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah. TJ James says, "Cool cat."
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Dave, did the Kubert School help you get access to get into those publishers at the time? Because, like, how did you get their attention? I know, say for Marvel, I know you hear stories about trying to get through the door and how difficult that was. Just coming off the street cold, it's like next to impossible. But like, how were you able to get to into heavy metal and into Larry Hama to see you? How did
the Kubert School really didn't have anything to do with that at this point in my career. Once I got more established, then I was able to connect with other artists in the business that were my friends at the Kubert School. But at this time, because the Kubert School stuff was black and white continuous panel, that's not the field that I was going into. I was going into paperback, illustration, fantasy illustration, that type of thing. So it was two separate genres. I learned just by experience in that to get into. Excuse me, I got someone trying to get out of my throat. It was the way that Norman Rockwell and these illustrators from the past 100 years have done it. They contact the publisher. They say, I'd like to come in for an interview or have you look at my portfolio, and then you set up a time. It was just as simple as that. I didn't know Larry Hama from before. I met Archie Goodwin, who I had met a couple of times at conventions. So he knew me when I was in the office. He said, come on in, Dave, we'll talk. I hear you got some artwork, that type of thing. But no, it was just the old, the old guy story of taking his portfolio and making calls and making appointments and just walking up and down the streets of New York to the publishers directly. The only thing that was strange about that really was the heavy metal connection. In that, I was reading heavy metal from when it started in 74, 75. So I was familiar with it, and I knew that it was published by the Heavy Metal National Lampoon Corporation. So I contacted them, and they said they don't do any live portfolio reviews, that you have to drop your portfolio off and leave it and then pick it up the next day, and they'll have somebody look at it and let you know when you come in to pick it up. Well, I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to do that because I need my portfolio. If I'm going to be, seeing 2 or 3 publishers each day, I need to keep that portfolio with me. And so I decided to hold off on that. Well, I got everything done on the last day that I was going to stay in New York on that trip. And I decided to just take a chance. I said, I'm going to go up to Heavy Metal. I'm going to hit their office, just see if I can talk to anybody. Because I was leaving the next morning, I couldn't leave my portfolio. I was just keeping my fingers crossed that I could see somebody. And as luck had it, I got in. And the secretary said, leave your portfolio. I said, I'm a poor, kid, on the streets. I can't leave my portfolio. I said, okay, well, hold on a second. We'll call somebody out. And so somebody came out. He introduced himself, and his last name was Workman. So this may not mean anything to you guys, but at the time, the art director of heavy metal was John Workman, who is the famous letterer that has been around for just a million years. His beautiful lettering. He letters Walt Simonson's Ragnarok and
nice.
lettered the original Alien book that Simonson did, and I think Tommy Lee Edwards uses him for a lot of the books. He's a really famous letterer, but he's also an artist and designer. So he was the art director. So I got kind of excited, just being there. And he looked at the portfolio, said, "Hold on a second." Went in and brought out this guy, and he said, "This is John Workman. This is my brother. He's the art director." And I said, "Oh, I'm familiar with your work, Mr. Workman." and he looked at it, thought there were some good pieces, and picked out one piece that was already done. It was a sort of barbarian and maiden piece that was really perfect for heavy metal, but I just did it for myself, a portfolio piece. And they eventually bought it for the cover, already finished, bought it right out of my portfolio. And so that was just that pure bit of luck on that time. I mean, it was very exciting to leave New York with that sale.
Yeah, what was that like, when you walked out of there? Right?
It was very intoxicating.
Yeah.
Especially being a magazine that I was a big fan of, and was influential, in sort of guiding my art, introducing me to new artists and material. So, that was really something. And I subsequently went on to do 2 other covers for them, and then over the years they just switched owners and blah blah blah. So, I'm trying to get back to the new owners to see if they're interested in anything, but. It's just you'd think it'd be easy, but it's tough sometimes because there's this internet access is only accessible to those who want to have it accessible for them.
Right.
And so so I got friends of mine who are just I'll send something to the editor and see if they can get in touch with you. So. But I'm having fun doing everything anyway right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing so many different things, but I mean, and as TJ James was saying in the chat, he loves your Star Wars art and everything, and you've got the book out there. How did you get involved with doing all the Star Wars stuff?
The Star Wars stuff was a real interesting story because, and this ties in back into the Joe Kubert days. I was working my way up in the industry, and I was working for Comico doing Robotech covers, and it was just line drawing in an anime style, and it was work. And so Diana Schutz was the editor for me then, and we became friends. I did about maybe 2.5 years work of covers for them for over their 3 separate books. It was probably about 20 covers, maybe a little bit more. And so I was doing that, and then she eventually moved over to Dark Horse. Well, it turns out that Dark Horse was publishing a number of books that were created by friends of mine from the Kubert School. And one of them in particular, Ron Randall, was doing the Trekker book.
Yeah.
And he asked me to do a cover for him. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to. And so I did that. And then the guys at Dark Horse kind of liked what they saw. And I ended up doing a whole bunch of different covers for them. And I had always had movie related artwork in my portfolio. So because I'm a big movie fan, and movie poster art was real big for me, back when I was 10, 11 years old, when the movie theater was like 4 blocks away, I'd always go down and look at the posters and just be amazed at the art posters that were done. And so that was always something I've enjoyed. So I had, all these samples, and with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I had some samples in my portfolio of those characters. At some point in 1988, I believe it was, Dark Horse got the license for Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. And I heard about it through the grapevine, and I contacted, my editors at Dark Horse. I said, I'd really like to have some fun doing Indiana Jones covers. And so I sent them, a couple samples, and yeah, they liked what they saw. They passed it on to Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm said, yeah, let Dave do it. And so that's how I got involved with Lucasfilm, was dealing with Indiana Jones first. And so it was the same people that Dark Horse was working with for Star Wars. So when Star Wars came up, Dark Empire, I'm not one to, let a good rumor die if I'm interested in doing the artwork. I called them up and I said, hey, if you don't have any cover artwork, cover artists for these Star Wars books, I'd be interested. And, I said, of course, I did the Indiana Jones book, so Lucasfilm likes me.
Nice.
So what happened was, God, I've drawn a blank here. Give me a second. Cam Kennedy was doing the artwork. Tom Veitch was writing it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know either of these guys. I knew their work, but I didn't know them personally at that time. And eventually I got word that, I was accepted to do the covers. And that's where it started, really, the Star Wars stuff for me. I learned later that Cam Kennedy was supposed to do the covers, and that when he found out that I had asked to do the covers, he said, let Dave do it. He's a better cover artist than I am.
Oh, nice.
Which was sort of crazy. Cam's one of those guys who's just a brilliant illustrator, and his use of shadow and color is unequaled as far as gaining the viewer's interest visually. So yeah, I was once again there, at the right time and under the right circumstances. And so that really, that started my career basically. That was 1989. It was Dark Empire, and I've been doing Star Wars artwork ever since, up until Disney took it over, and then I was thrown out to the curb.
Oh, really? Oh, so you're not a part of that at all, even with your body, your vast body of work. You're not on their radar.
No, not at all.
Wow.
And I could tell you why.
Yeah.
When the editors of Marvel found out I was conservative, they blocked me basically, and I'm sure the word went through both Lucasfilm and Disney. Yeah. Nobody returns my calls anymore. I've never said a bad word about Star Wars. I mean, it built my career. I love doing it, and I still love to do Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And the only Star Wars that I've been able to do in the past, 5 or 6 years that has been actually officially licensed has either been Star Wars Celebration, which is a separate sort of type of thing for getting a license, and doing store variants where the store hires me. It's not Marvel. So it's the store that is having me do the covers, not Marvel directly. So I've tried so many avenues to get in. and just nobody returns my calls.
Has anyone ever said like that is the actual reason why, or was it just like one day you're getting the work and next day you think something's coming and it's like just dead?
Well, it's not that I thought something was coming. It's just that it sort of I knew it was going to dry up when Disney took it over, because the same thing happened when Lucasfilm was working with the prequels. They hired all these new people to come in, and so every established relationship I had with the Lucasfilm people just sort of drifted off, because there was too many new people coming into the corporation that don't have a background on, people like me who have, an extensive background in working with them. So they didn't know me from Adam. And so, I started getting less and less work because of that. And then when I heard that Disney was buying Lucasfilm, I said, yeah, that's it. None of the Lucasfilm people that I've dealt with are going to go to Disney, and they didn't. And so, I literally lost all my connections with people I was dealing with. And so that left me dealing with the publishers.
Yeah.
And, in today's social atmosphere, I'm not going to get work. So that's the story. And
here's the crazy thing too, is that I've never seen you or heard of you brandishing or even really super espousing any of your political viewpoints.
No, I don't.
It's just if you have a conversation with somebody and you say you're voting for Romney or something. I mean, that happened to me with Marvel. I'm sorry, with DC. Was after doing so much work with them. Then somebody was doing a big job, and they said, well, what about Billy Tucci to draw it? And the editor said, Billy's a nice guy, but fuck him. The guy's a fucking Republican. I'm not hiring him.
Yeah.
Guys, that's 2012. That's even before any of this Trump derangement syndrome things happen, anything like that. And that's insane. It's just, and it's
it just drives me nuts. Like, what the hell does that have to do with the product? We're here, like, you're here to make money, honestly, and like, what's that have to do with anything?
Yeah, well, as a commercial artist, most of my career, it's the art that's going to sell the product to the consumer. Who cares how the art or who the art is created by, if that art is going to sell to the consumer? That's the main reason. But it's I don't know. I'm here and I'm involved in everything that's going around me, but I can't mentally grasp the idea that a company or people within a company would shoot themselves in the foot to not use me and lose that money that my name and my artwork would generate for them.
Yeah, that's incredible. So Jefferson Roswell says Dark Empire was the first Star Wars comic I bought as a kid. When I saw the covers, I had to get them. That's awesome, Jefferson.
That's very cool. I hear that quite a bit, and I think that I was in the business at the right time when the technology was just turning over, that comics could move from that line drawing and flat comic color to have really nice color separations on really nice paper. I mean, Gold Key and Dell and some of those, did some really nice painted covers back in the 60s, but they weren't real popular comics, and the artwork was a bit muted because it was still bad paper. Yeah. But Marvel did some. Bill Sienkiewicz did some nice, painted cover things, but it was still that mushy, just really bad reproduction. Yeah. But for me, I was happy that Dark Horse, decided to move from that cheaper paper to the more glossy, heavier stock. And I think that obviously made the artwork more dynamic because you had purer color, you had cleaner reproduction, and when it's alongside all the other line artwork books that have the flatter color, that book is going to jump out.
Yeah.
And that's why they hired me. They hired me to paint the covers that were dynamic and visually able to hook the viewer into looking at that book along the whole shelf of other comics. Saying, wow, that's really interesting. Let me go take a look at what it is.
Well, what's incredible to me is like when you think like there's Star Wars comic books out there. We've got covers, we've got things, but I mean like nothing comes up like these images here, where it's just like, I mean, that's like what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
I mean, that like no matter what you do, like this type of artwork for Star Wars to me is timeless. Whether it's a new actor, new actress, new characters, like that doesn't die. That look isn't aged. Like that is Star Wars. Why would they take that away? Because they're not really recreating that. A lot of stuff is just kind of typical, to be honest with you. Like, some of these covers I see, it's just a typical comic book cover. It's not like even in a unique style or painted. Now there are some exceptions. There are some really cool variant covers out there, but I mean, there is an essence to Star Wars, which you capture for the books.
Yeah, I think so too, and I appreciate those kind words about that. Star Wars has been a big part of most of my life. I was 17 when I saw Star Wars, same age as Luke was in the film. So it was a real big thing for me, and it really influenced my life and my artistic life as well. Being such a big influence. And so that's never died. Lucas hit all the buttons as far as what I was interested in, as a kid and as a budding artist. And, he'll probably agree with that as well. I mean, he was a big comic fan, pulp fiction fan, and that's why he wrote the movie the way he did, was he just loved all that stuff. And so he made the movie, and I loved all that stuff, and I make the art. And I think just a lot of it shows how much I enjoy doing it. It's not necessarily a job. It's that 10 or 15 hours of working on a painting takes me into that world.
And it's timeless. The result, like I said, your art style is timeless, like the films. It really is. And again, when they have these blasé covers now, and the new, crop of if you want to call them illustrators, it seems like deviant artists, like very amateurish. I see that, and the passion isn't there. But it's weird how, when you get canceled, for say a political view or something like that, and it seems to be following the Twitter mob. What a lot of these people are coming from is Twitter, and if Twitter likes cost you $1 each, I'm sure a lot of these idiots would have far less likes than they do.
That's true.
I love the idea though, like that you don't shy away from any sort of controversy, and you paint what you want. I mean, one of the things that you did was a project that I got to do a variant cover for too, and that was that you did for Richard Meyer's Expendables. And just man, did you capture Sly there? That is so great.
Thank you.
Just what's the story behind that? How did you get
it's a really funny story, and Richard will probably never tell it, but I will. So I've known Chuck Dixon for 1 million years. And
who's that?
He's an up-and-coming writer.
There's a frog in my throat right now.
It's Chuck trying to get out.
Is he another? He's another one of them new kids.
He's one of those new.
One of those
TikTok whippersnappers.
Yeah,
he's an Instagram writer.
I met Chuck probably mid '80s, I guess, at a convention in Atlanta, and we hit it off right away. And during the late '80s, we were throwing a Nick Fury Captain America graphic novel at Marvel, and it didn't really go anywhere. But that would have been a really cool project. I just love those two characters, and it would have been a fully painted thing. And Chuck and I went through some scenes, and he wrote an outline, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I've known him for a long time, and we've never really worked together per se, and we still haven't worked together. I've done a couple covers for some projects that he's done, but it hasn't been, calling me ahead of time and collaborating with doing something. It's usually after the fact, which is fine. It's me keeping my ear to the rail, listening to what's going on. So I get the word that Richard is doing the Expendables, and being a movie fan, an action fan, and Stallone fan, I say great. And so I asked Chuck. I wrote to him and I said, "Hey, I'd love to do a cover." And he said, "Well, we're pretty late in the project, and I don't think that we can get you in, and maybe on the next one we could do something." I said, "Okay." And then, like the day later, I thought, "All right, well, it's on my mind. I'm just going to do a painting." So I just did the Stallone painting in like 2 days. I just popped it out, and I said, I wrote a note, and I sent an image to Chuck and an image to Richard, and I said, I know it's late, but you're hitting my buttons. So I did this piece. You can use it if you want, and if it's too late, don't worry about it. And it's like the next day, Richard got on the phone with me and said, "Wow, yeah, we're definitely going to use it." You got all excited, and so it was just a shot in the dark. Once again, like a lot of stuff that I've been doing in the past 5 or 6 years, it's just I want to do it, so I'll do it. And in this case, if I didn't get paid for it, I'd still have a really nice painting that I got excited about. And if you wanted to use it, I'd get paid for it. And it's still a real nice painting that I'm excited about. And actually, there's a second painting that I did of Dolph Lundgren from the film that, once again, I had all this reference from the movie. And I thought, I like this Dolph Lundgren character. I got this really sort of dynamic photo reference for it. I'm going to just do another painting. So I did another painting, and I knew that wasn't going to go anywhere because they were already, well into finishing the production on it. And I get a note back from Richard saying, I love this, but we can't use it in the book. How about we do a collector's card for the Kickstarter or Indiegogo? And I just, sure. I just did it to do it. And that's how I got involved in the Expendables. Was just, once again, like most of my career, just listening to what's happening in the industry and making calls. Yeah. Usually within the industry, you get information way ahead of production time. But with something like Indiegogo, it's all happening behind the scenes until you actually see it listed, for sale.
Right.
And the one that worked out way ahead of time was Space Force with Trump, with Timothy Lamb and his group of guys. And they called me, right at the beginning of the thing and said, we want you to do the cover. I said, great. They said, do whatever you want. And I said, yeah, don't tell me do whatever I want. You never know what's gonna come out looking like. But we collaborated. I ended up redesigning the spacesuit to make it more like a EC type cover, and the big round helmet with all the tubes and the pouches and that type of stuff. And then they readjusted the book inside to match that, which I thought was real nice. But it was just a really fun EC homage, on the Trump cover, and that turned out to be a real fun project. I think that was really what sort of turned a lot of heads towards my way as far as casting aspersions that I'm a conservative.
Yeah, I think
because I did this piece of Obama back in the day when he was still president, and it was a satire. It was a book called The Other Dead, and it was about animals becoming zombies instead of humans. And so at one point they did a scene where Obama was in the White House with his family, and the White House pets turned into zombies and attacked the family. So Obama had to defend the family. So he went into the armory, grabbed a whole bunch of guns, and started shooting all the zombie animals. So I was just, that's what I'm doing. And so I did this painting of Obama, armed up and ready to go. And that was taken as a slap against Obama. There was no political intent with that, other than having some fun with it. But once it got published, they thought it was an offense against Obama's personality.
Taboo. I mean, and that's taboo because you can't offend Obama because
no, you can't.
It's like doing something in Mad Magazine. Like that. Like that's what the point of it was.
Yeah. So that sort of got the ball rolling that I wasn't what everyone thought I was.
Right.
And then the Trump thing, the Space Force thing, that sort of really put the nail in it. But I was doing some stuff with Timothy Lim. I did his rabbit. God, what was the name of that? Black Hops. I did
Black
a couple
Hops,
covers for that, which was fun. That wasn't political. That was a rabbit, shooting stuff. I mean, if it was an elephant shooting up donkeys, I could understand that. It was just a rabbit.
Yeah.
And but Tim's on the right, and so I got associated with that, and now I don't care. For the longest time I did. I thought I cared. Well, I mentally sort of avoided it because it wasn't necessary. It doesn't speak to my art.
Yeah.
The art is the art. I'm who I am. So it wasn't until the recent, like you say, social atmosphere that it means something to the people who it shouldn't mean anything with. So whatever. So I said it in one of the responses, I think on when I did the comply piece. I said I'm over 60. I'm tired of biting my tongue. If I want to do a piece that has a social commentary, I'm going to do a piece that has a social commentary.
And that's what an artist is about. And because I'd like to get to that. I mean, and that's an extraordinary painting. Again, as we were talking earlier, I love if you can
actually amazing.
It really is, and I love and you saw with the Sly painting. You see it also with the Gina Carano painting you did. I love the colors that you've started. If you go back to the Fauci thing, and I know it's maybe the symbolized as blood on his hands, but I love all the colors that you're adding to the flesh tones. That seems very Frazetta, very very NCY, very Pyle. It's just what a powerful, extraordinary painting, and I'd like to share. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, because then I'd like to share, if it's okay, because you are such a controversial person now.
I am.
God forbid.
The words that I say.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, Billy, we did just get a super chat. So before we get too deep in conversation, let's just bring up real quick. We've got Reagan Lodge. Thanks for the $5 super chat. I bought Dave's book Rail from him personally at San Diego Comic-Con as a newbie artist in the 2000s. Gave me lots of good pro advice on the spot. Swell guy.
Wow, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And thank you for that super chat.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Dave is definitely one of the sweetest guys in the industry. I mean, you can see how he's very soft spoken. He's very humble for the track work he's done, and how many people he's inspired with his artwork.
And we haven't even talked about Magic the Gathering. I mean, everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm to follow up, Billy. I enjoy what I do a lot.
Yeah.
And, somebody said this very early on in my career, and I've always remembered it, and it's something that I keep with me, is that in essence, I'm not working for the publishers. I'm working for the fans who are buying the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want them to be happy.
Yeah.
And part of that is when you go to a show, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists that just don't want to be at shows or maybe they just, are having a bad day. I've had plenty of bad days at shows, but, you don't take it out on the fans.
Right.
And, so that's one of the reasons why, I appreciate people saying that, I'm a nice guy at shows. I like to think that I'm a nice guy anyway.
Yeah.
But it's really the fans that buy the stuff that keeps me in business. So yeah, I'm never going to say anything. I'm never going to have a bad day at a show. It's for them. So yeah.
Well, apparently you are kind of a monster because you've hurt people and you've wounded people, apparently.
I have. Yes.
If we can get to this over here, because you've sorely disappointed some people. They are not happy with you, and I saw it, and we're friends, so I'm always checking out my buddies' pages and stuff. And when I saw this, I just thought, what an incredibly powerful painting. Just from an artistic point of view, again, great storytelling here. I love the shadow behind it. I love that, that we get the little illumination of the red stars, I guess, in the Wuhan province.
That's actually Beijing.
Oh, it is Beijing. Okay, I apologize. Yeah. Then, which is okay.
Yeah, that's all right. I had to study a map.
To
figure out what I was doing.
And I love, though, the hands of the masses. The dying masses. It invokes really Egon Schiele, Schiele.
Sure.
You got a little Klimt going on there. I love it.
Yeah.
Again, so powerful, so muted, understated, if you will. But again, the blood red just speaks volumes. And just
I very well. I can't say I very seldom do. I don't think I've ever done a political commentary piece to this finish and actually put it out there for anyone to see.
Yeah,
because I'm just not. I haven't had that in my repertoire throughout my whole career. But there's unfortunately in my opinion there's been so much wrong going on really in the past 20 years. It's not just the past 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. It's the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So I've been watching all the reports on Fauci's emails, and I'm not surprised. But this image just came into my head that he's the figurehead for something bigger that went wrong. And people are attacking me for attacking Fauci with this piece, and I'm not directly attacking him, but he's the figurehead for this whole thing. And the image came in my head almost exactly as you see it there, and I just took that and ran with it, and it came out so close to what was in my head that. I felt that I had to show it because I think it's a really strong piece, especially at this point in my career. So, so I just put it out there, and I'm not.
Can you
surprised.
Explain the piece, like for anyone that's watching this?
I don't want to explain it. Yeah. I think there is some art that doesn't need to be explained.
Yeah.
You can take whatever you want from it. Mm-hmm. But like I just said, I think Fauci is a figurehead for a lot of things that went wrong.
Yeah.
And that's really the basis of what the piece is about.
Yeah. And I think
I had sorry.
No. Get you go. No.
I had a fellow artist, two fellow artists write to me and say, what it's about. What is it about? And you know, for an artist to ask me what it's about, I thought it was very strange, because this is what artists do. They create imagery, and most of the time in our field, obviously, it's an image that will tell a story, and so it's very specific. What you see is what you get. However, there's a whole genre of editorial artists and social commentary artists that do imagery that is what's the word? I had it in my head just a minute ago. Vague. It pushes the viewer to think about what they're seeing, and usually they associate it with what they know rather than what they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem comes in with this, because there are so many different stories out there that people look at it and associate it with one thing. They look at it and associate it with another thing. But that's the power of artwork. So
yes.
if I wrote a paragraph saying exactly what the piece is, then that defeats the whole purpose of making a commentary.
Yes.
But there were two artists, asking me, just what is it about? And what they were doing was basically trying to push me to say I'm a right-wing conspiracy nut, and I'm a Nazi.
Yeah, they were trying to out you. This is the accusatory thing,
Yeah, and that's not going to happen, because I'm not either of those things.
Yeah,
I'm a guy who stays on top of what's happening in the world, and I make a commentary about it. So I said, okay, as an example, if this piece of art was called Subterranean, and you didn't know this, but it was called Subterranean, and it was about an old Chinese guy that had tuberculosis, so he was coughing up blood all the time, and that there were some vampires living underground that knew this and were coming up to get him. That's what this illustrates.
There you go.
Okay, so yeah, that's an explanation.
Yeah.
It's not what it's meant to be, but if someone wants an explanation, that's what they can have.
Yeah.
There can be 100 different meanings in this piece, but people want to push and push until they have the answer that they want to hear.
Right.
And I'm not going to give that to them.
Yeah.
If it's a Star Wars piece.
Cancel culture,
right.
Cancel culture.
And that's what it is. They're looking to cancel, and that they want to challenge you. And any good art. And if you have to, I think the key to a successful painting, and this goes along a line to me as expressive art. It's fine art, if you will, illustration. And but if you have to explain your art, then that's not a successful piece of art.
No, that's right.
Your art should need no explanation. It should leave it up to those who are viewing it.
It's up to interpretation. Like every art piece, fine art that's out there, it's up to interpretation. That's the point.
But in today's cancel culture society, nothing is no longer itself. It's always attached to the beliefs of the person that said it or created it or whatever.
Well, if it's not their belief, then it needs to be canceled.
Right. So I'm not going to let them push me into that. They can.
Because you look at the comments, and you have right now, there's 895. Look, Billy Tucci right on top. 895
likes,
reactions to it.
Right.
And you have 355 shares, but you have 764 comments. And but a good thing, the one thing that I appreciated was that you don't have the angry heads. You know what I mean? That you have the people saying, wow. A lot of the people saying wow might also be like, wow, what is this about?
Well, that too, But you're right. There's no angry faces there. There's plenty of anger in the text.
Yeah. But you could see this. People are asking if they could use it for their profile picture.
Yeah.
Sharing. You know what I mean? Claude Parrish says sharing is caring. People are saying, I mean, now, and it's starting. The reviews are positive. The reactions are incredibly positive at the very beginning.
Right.
Then you start seeing things happening. You see this particular chap right here. That's not our boy Jeff Smith.
No.
But he's not digging it just to begin with. So, but that's fine. That's a great reaction. That's his opinion. That's awesome.
His interpretation of the fine art.
Right. But then, and then, I mean, another one, E.K. Borman says, so sad, but so perfect. Says it all. Do you have prints available? Which you do.
I do.
And let's see if we can grab the link. TJ, maybe TJ could find the link to that.
How large is that original piece? The canvas.
The original piece is 11 by 17.
11 by 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought maybe painting larger would be good because people like larger artwork.
Yeah.
And so for about a year, I started painting really large, like 20 by 30 pieces. And you can't take those to shows; they're just too big.
Right.
And I just stopped doing it because they were too big. They were hard to sell. People didn't want to buy them because they were too large to hang in their house.
Yeah.
And so that was out the window. I said I'll go back to doing the small pieces. So yeah, I'm back to doing 11 by 17, 14 by 20.
Yeah.
Just those ones. I paint on a drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like an easel or anything. It's just right there in front of me.
You have Mike Harris, who is I think he's a lieutenant colonel now, or he retired as a lieutenant colonel. Mike was an officer in my sister unit when I served in, and he was really cool. He was and I would talk to him because he was already established. He was already doing work, marble and stuff like that. And I was this young kid out of college who wanted to do this in the National Guard. And I wanted, during the Gulf War, we actually got mobilized and we were training out in the desert. So we got to talk and everything. And he was just so cool to me. And he was just always such a great guy and very helpful, but a tremendous artist in his own right. But again, you're seeing really good comments. But then again, you keep going. And I might have skipped a few. I think I did. But then there's people, again, they started outing you. They start to the passive aggressive comments. They start saying, well, what does the blood represent? Right.
And you go down and you see my answer that what does the blood represent? It's whatever you wish it to make. You wish to make it. It's a social commentary. You decide what you want. I know what I wanted out of it, but it's not a storytelling piece. I don't have to say what it is.
Right.
It is what it is there.
You got Jim Michalek, who's he's a Navy veteran. He's a Gulf War veteran himself there and a big comics fan. Dennis Barger, I'm looking at like all these people I know, but people say now that's art. But it's people are angry at you. You saw people saying that they were hurt by this. They were, if we go to, let me try to find some. I love Brett Smith and now do Cuomo.
In going through, as I was reading the comments, there were a couple of people who made a comment and then unfriended me right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I couldn't respond to their comment, and it was really irritating. They called me a name and then they'd unfriend me.
Yeah.
Now, is it mostly like fans and stuff and followers that are making these comments? Or are you getting attacked by the pros in the industry?
No, actually, very few pros have said anything. There have been a couple that have reacted positively, but I haven't had any name pros come back at me with any type of argument.
Yeah.
The closest I get was the two artists that were trying to push me to say what they wanted me to say, and there's a couple of art dealers who I know were liberal leaning, and so they took that into their comments and were asking, or telling me, things about how good Fauci is and blah, blah, blah. I know Fauci's history. It's not something I just do a painting and, that's it. It's something, if I'm going to do something like this, I'm going to research it. I'm going to get reference. I'm going to find out about, the character and I'm going to make a statement. So,
and it seems it's so strange because these are public servants. They work for us. And the emotional response that some people do, like, again, you wound them personally. And I think that started with Obama, that if you disagreed with Obama or you didn't think he was a good president, his supporters, you wounded them personally.
Right.
That they had so much emotionally invested in him and his presidency that I feel that it completely clouded their judgment to think about things. I mean, because it wasn't, it was that typical thing, like, what's the biggest problem in this country for the past 50 years? And I think it's, we've been asking each other how we feel about something rather than what we think about something. And this is what you're evoking here. And but if you disagree with the president, then you're a racist. That was the first thing right off the bat, because they couldn't understand it. But then you start to get some good ones here too. Those that, like, I don't know that I agree entirely, but wow, this is gorgeous. And it's just phenomenally done. It evokes so much reaction and thought, exactly as art should. And Artemis Gray, he nailed it right on the head with that one.
Right.
And again, James Saunders III as well said, anytime a piece of art can inspire emotional response from both sides, mission accomplished. Well done, Dave.
Yeah.
And that's a thing, but you have people now taking things, again, people are asking you, to explain yourself, because they can write that down and that they can use this against you, because now you're going to be targeted for them to destroy you.
I will be. And, Denise is always after me saying, don't say anything about your political leanings. And I normally don't. And, I haven't really said anything verbally, other than in the art.
Yeah.
And that's where people make their assumptions. I was called a Nazi right after I did the Trump Space Force thing, and I was just whatever. You don't know me.
Yeah, who the fuck are you? And that's another thing is you could say something like, "Well, what happened in your life?" This is a line I use to make me to what happened in your life that's so traumatic.
Yeah.
That you're so insecure that you would even think that I give a shit how you feel about anything or what you want to call me. You're not even on my radar. You're not even, a being. But again, they're throwing these things out here, and you get Brad Smith, and I like all the mean people. I'm not friends with any of them, so that makes me feel good. But just when I thought you couldn't be more of an arsehole, so I guess he's from the UK,
right?
Unless he's trying to be, hip. Pedantic. I lost a good friend to COVID-19. Had that slime Trump listened to science and had idiots such as yourself heeded cautions, things might be different. It's like, okay. So what could we have done?
That takes the piece the wrong way that I had intended. Yeah. But that's the way he reads it, and that's okay. That's not, no opinion is invalid. I had a discussion in the text about validity and not being valid. Your opinion is your opinion, and it's valid to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be valid to me. It's like criticism.
Yeah.
You absorb what you believe is right, and you discard what's wrong. And the same with an opinion. Someone has an opinion, you say, okay, you're right, or no, you're not right. It's not my place to argue with you. If I want to try to change your mind, I will, but you can't do that today.
Yeah.
There's just no way to approach trying to change anyone's mind on either side.
And then you wonder, who are the Nazis? Who are the real Nazis today? The ones that are trying to control thought, the ones that are trying to shut down free speech, the ones that are trying to shut down free press.
Right.
That's it's disgusting. But again, you're getting hit left and right with bombs, man. And I don't mean left on the left and the right. You're getting hit from you're the Noble 600 riding into the Valley of Death.
TJ James has a great comment. He says, "Truth. 56 years ago, this would have been a cover on Time or Newsweek, along with an in-depth investigative piece."
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Someone had mentioned that in the comments, and I was looking at it, and I was thinking, probably so. But you notice that all the illustrative, and I followed this because there have been some great illustrators on Time magazine. They've all been liberal-leaning, liberal covers. There's been nothing on the conservative or middle imagery that's been artwork. So whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That's who controls it. Again, these people that came from the McCarthy era and the Hollywood 10 and the witch hunts that were going on for calling people communists, for their political views on the left, and they're all against that cancel culture, but they are now all for cancel culture. Yeah. This is all they do all day, is that they look for things to try to cancel, and people look for careers to destroy. And I love that we have guys like you standing out there like the Statue of fucking Liberty, man.
Well, I can't say that I do that, but I'm not going to shy away from it.
No, it's interpretation.
I think I meant just like by posting a piece like this.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I'm not making any type of or I'm not trying to be any type of political beacon. I'm just a guy who thinks about things sometimes, and right now I'm too old not to say a thing every now and then.
Right.
So wait till you see the next one.
There you go.
Well, like I could get crucified for that.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that you were like a bomb. I didn't mean to say that you were like a you're throwing firebombs out there. No,
I'm not.
Firebrand. You're not a firebrand.
If I was, I'd make it far more direct.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted it to be vague. I wanted it to make people think about it and say, okay, what's going on here? And if they didn't know what's going on there, to investigate what I might be saying with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's to make them think, and people. I guess generally, in people who are too involved in comics and reading and the literature genres tend to want things spelled out fairly clearly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not used to seeing something that is challenging visually, and that's okay. I think that I have a fairly well-rounded education, especially in the history of art. So I felt that I could do this and be successful with it, and I did, and I'm happy with it, and I'm certainly happy with the response that I've gotten on both sides. Sure, not everyone is going to think the same, but I deleted 2 posts that they called me very nasty names, and that's my prerogative. But I'm done. I'm done commenting. I wrote on the last one that I commented. I said it was a very complimentary text. And I said, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. And this will be the last thing that I say about this. And so that was yesterday afternoon, I think. So I'm not going to comment on it anymore. I'm just going to move on. Yeah. I've got a Star Wars piece I'm starting on Monday. So, the family get to see more Star Wars stuff on the dugout.
Nice.
And I've got a couple of covers for Doug Ernst's religious adventure book, which I can't remember the name of right now. I've done 4 covers for them, and I can't remember the name. He's going to kill me. And then, I've got some really fun stuff I'm doing for myself as well over the summer, and then conventions that starts up in the fall. And so I'll be doing a couple of conventions.
What conventions will you be doing?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Okay.
It's gotten, excuse me, the frog in my throat is back. See, this is what happens when you get stuck in the studio for a year and don't talk.
I know.
And then
I know.
you get interviewed.
Yeah.
So I've contracted with a company called Cool Waters that do autograph signings for professional actors and such. And they've contracted me to do portraits of characters, of actors that are famous. They're doing a limited edition of this artwork. I'm doing a painting, and they're doing 25 copies, which will be signed by various people. We had Harrison Ford did the first one. Dave Barkley, who was the puppeteer for Jabba the Hutt, did one. Carrie Hine did one. She was Newt in Alien 3. I got Billy D. Williams coming up. I got some other people. So I'm doing these portraits, these art portraits, and so they're sponsoring me for 3 shows in the fall.
Oh, great!
I believe they're by Fanboy Entertainment, but I'll be posting that information when I get a little bit more information about it on my Facebook. So yeah, I'll be doing 3 shows, and then C2E2 here in Chicago. I haven't gotten my artist alley table yet, so I may be out of luck.
When's the date of C2E2?
December 16th.
Yeah, I think you got plenty of time. Before they notify you, I wouldn't worry about that.
But then Herrenberg asked asked Dave what kind of experience he had at Steel City Con a couple of years back and whether he might be returning.
Steel City Con was a really fun show. It's not a large show, which I like because you get more time to talk to the fans. It's just more relaxing and more fun. And so Steel City was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was cold and rainy, so I wasn't able to get outside that much, but the fans were great. The organization was really fun, and yeah, I'd look forward to going back again at some point in the future.
Now, you had mentioned Celebration, Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Are you any plans to head back to that?
The next one's next year, I think in June of 22. So yeah, I would like to go back. I'm not sure what the situation is. They just started to let the information out on hotels and stuff like that. Once again, I don't have any connections with Disney or Lucasfilm, so I may or may not go. And the way they set up Artist Alley is all weird, so I may not be able to go. There's a lot of I may not be able to go that aren't my fault, but I may be able to get someone to sponsor me.
There you go.
One of the dealers to sponsor me, and if that's the case, then yeah.
Yeah, because that must be a huge show for you.
It is. There's so many people over the years that have read the books and been fans of the artwork, and just have never met me over the course of time, and it's very exciting. It's especially exciting for me when I see a father bring their son or daughter and say, this is Dave Dorman. He did the Dark Empire books that I read as a kid, and the child gets excited, seeing that, and is also a fan of Star Wars and sees my art, and knowing that I've touched multi generations is really something that makes me happy.
Well, you are truly an extraordinary artist.
Thank you, Bill.
And you really are. I mean, you are one of my favorites. I
love watching your live streams.
Yeah, the live stream. We should just talk about that real quick. It's called Dave's Dugout, and I do it 3 or 4 times a week, usually about between 10:30 and noon on weekdays, Central Time. And I basically put the camera on and just show whatever I'm working on at the drawing table. You don't see my ugly mug. You just hear my voice and see the art. And it's just fun. It's just, people can ask questions and I'll answer. Sometimes they ask about crazy stuff. Sometimes they ask specifically about what I'm working on, what mediums I'm using, what techniques I'm using. But it's just a way to, keep the communication open between me, the artist, and the fan out there. And so I usually post in the morning what time it starts. And then if I'm not going to do it that day, I'll say no Dave's Dugout today. So if you check me on my Facebook, that's where it is for right now. So it's fun. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll say, Dave, why are you an artist instead of a plumber? But yeah, it's really fun, and I started it right before the pandemic, and then it was only about once a week, if that, before the pandemic, and then once the pandemic started, I started to do twice a week, and people kept asking to see more, so I've just opened it up to 3 or 4 days, and it doesn't bother me because I'm at the drawing table anyway. It's just a matter of setting up the camera and turning it on, and I don't have to entertain other than do what I would do normally, which is paint and draw. Today I did a pencil drawing of Lee Van Cleef from from the Big Gun Down. So it's always different. You can look back and you can see the beginning of the Fauci piece a couple of days, because I keep the archive going in case people want to look back.
Nice.
So it's fun. It's I get a lot of regulars and I get a lot of new people, and people come and go. But I like it. It's fun.
Awesome. We just got another super chat in from Eddie Winkler. Dave equals best Star Wars artist ever.
There you
LOL.
go.
He's not too bad at non-Star Wars art.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Eddie, too.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk a little Star Wars.
Sure.
What do you think of Mandalorian?
I've enjoyed Mandalorian. It's oh God.
No,
they really took the time.
I like that painting.
What's that?
I love that painting.
Yeah. He's so cute.
Yeah.
Look at that little guy.
Yeah, that was just a fun piece,
Yeah.
I didn't want to do something standard, but I wanted to have Grogu be the major part of it. But he's so small, I thought, put him at the feet of the Mandalorian, and have the focus be him. A little playful piece. Mandalorian, I really enjoyed. I thought it was quite good. I think that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have a real good feeling for Star Wars and the mythology of it. I think that's where the last 3 movies failed, was that the writers had no idea what Star Wars was about.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a cohesive, thank you, Eddie. They didn't have a cohesive overview of the 3 films as one, which is what they should have. Whereas Mandalorian, they did the 8 episodes in the first series as a nice umbrella. Each one led into the next to one larger story. Thank you. And then the second season was pretty much the same. So they have a much better handle on it. And I think as long as they have, those 2 or someone who understands the mythology that they do, I think that the series, the TV series, will probably do fairly well.
Yeah.
If they have people that have no idea, like Rian Johnson, have no idea what Star Wars is about, then they're going to fail. So we'll see what the next ones come out to be. I'm looking forward to Ahsoka. I'm looking forward to Boba Fett, and certainly looking forward to Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. But I'm very happy with the way that it's been so far. Much more so than the last three films.
Well, I know there's a big change going on now with Disney, and I think there's already a new head for Star Wars. There's a new regime coming in, and I think it all boiled down to, these films didn't make the money they were expected to. The franchise isn't making the money it needs, and it looks like they are actually going backwards to, we need to focus on this, not this. This makes us money. This doesn't. Let's give the fans what they want and move forward.
I agree. But I have to say that Rogue One and Solo were far better than the three last films. And
many people say that.
I think Rogue One was for sure. I haven't seen Solo just because I've heard so many awful things about it.
I didn't think it was.
It was fun. It wasn't serious. It was fun.
Yeah,
it was like a Western.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what Star Wars is all about anyway. But it was more of a truer Western, and I really enjoyed it. The parts during the war, where Solo was in the infantry, was just great. I want to see more war stuff. That's why I like Rogue One so much.
Yeah,
it was about war. It was, you're not going to get any more World War II movies. We're not going to see any more tanks, but hopefully they can make more, walkers and stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Rogue One, they just did a wonderful job with it, and that ranks as my second best Star Wars film. Absolutely.
You think Rogue One is your second favorite?
Yeah.
You think? Rogue One is your second favorite?
It is. Yeah, it is, just for pure entertainment and visual enjoyment, and I think it has to do with being all contained in one film rather than over three films. And it was a fairly simple story. It wasn't complex, but the production of it was very, very good. You see problems in the production just because of Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. We're 40, 50 years ago. Yeah. And the technology wasn't there. The story's there. The characters are fun, but the technology. You look at the film and there is some datedness to the look of it. The prequels, they were a little bit more fleshed out as far as the look goes. But I think Rogue One as a whole, set within the Star Wars universe, was a complete story. I think it could have, for me, it could have been another half hour longer, showing a little bit more of the characters. But the production, I'm a sucker for good production. Eye candy for me is I can sit through an awful movie as long as I can watch some really nice things on the screen. But this one had everything that I expect from a Star Wars story, and it's my second favorite film.
Nice,
agreed. Wow. So what's your first?
First is Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Because you could see the change from Lucas's budget on New Hope, and then seeing the production on Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Where you get a whole different color palette, you get a whole different production design, making it more worldly. More used. It opens up more. You see a lot more of the outside world. So New Hope certainly started Star Wars. Obviously, that began the world. But for me, Empire Strikes Back opened up the world to a larger degree. And so, that one's my first favorite.
Now, with doing so much Star Wars work and everything, have you done any art for any of the films? And have you ever had any communication with George Lucas of any kind?
We'll start with the films first. No, I haven't done any work for the films. Before the prequel started, having done, stuff with Lucasfilm for Dark Horse and, being with them at the time that they were gearing up for the prequels, I called a friend of mine at Lucasfilm who was very high up and close to George, actually. And I said, can you tell me the people I need to contact in the production department to get involved in doing some pre-production work? And she said no. And I said why? And she said, we'd like to keep you in licensing and merchandising. So I had to say, that made me feel pretty good that they liked what I was doing and felt that it was beneficial to the company. For me, working, in the production of film would have been like the highlight of my career, because I've been a film fan for years of all genres and Star Wars specifically. I was called to do some design work on a TV show when they were talking to HBO about doing a Star Wars TV show, new characters and such. And so they called me to do some design work, and they wanted me to move out to California for like 2 or 3 months. And I said, yeah, it sounds really interesting. I'd really be interested in doing that. And I said, what's the pay? And they just gave me this low ball figure. I was just, what? This is after the three films made, $1 bazillion, and they want to pay me, pennies on the dollar to do design work. I was just, no, I'm not moving out to California for 2 months to barely, make anything, compared to what I'm making with, the publishing. So that was disappointing. That was probably the most disappointing thing that happened. But then, they never finished that pre-production on the HBO stuff, and so it never was done. So, that work would have all been lost in the files, just like all my Aliens work was lost in the files at 20th Century Fox. So.
Oh, jeez.
The other question was George Lucas. We've talked a couple of times over the years, and he's a fan of my artwork, which I was very humbled about. But he's a big artwork fan. He collects comic artwork, and then he also collects illustrators, painters. From the 20s, through Rockwell and into, Drew Struzan and these guys, Steranko and all these guys. He's a big art fan. So the few times that we've actually been able to talk, it's been more about my artwork than me asking him about movies.
Yeah.
So that I take that as a compliment. That someone of his stature is interested in someone low like me, but he's a very soft-spoken fella. I can understand his desire for privacy, and he's very smart.
Yeah.
And so it's been a pleasure, spending the small amount of time that I've had, talking one-on-one with him. So it's been nice.
Before we wrap, just now that moving forward now with comics, are you finding yourself getting more involved with crowd-funded books by independent creators requesting cover work and stuff?
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest opportunity for me now. About 2 or 3 years ago, I made the conscious decision to move into doing my own work. More so than soliciting publishers to keep me busy. And so I've had just a ton of fans over the years asking me if I do private commissions and things, and I hadn't. I do sketches at shows, but nothing larger than that. And so when I opened up, about doing stuff for myself, that certainly, gave the opportunity to do private commissions. And so, I've been doing a lot of that, and then I've been doing the occasional published piece, and it's sort of moved into me doing a lot of crowdfunded books by friends of mine in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just real happy because there's not a lot of editorial control. If it's not something I want to do, I'll say no. But usually, my creative friends have great creative ideas. Yeah. And so, they just want me to do my thing. And so, having that freedom, pretty much guarantees that they'll get a nice piece. Mm-hmm. And so, I'd say crowdfunding is maybe a third of the work right now. I'd say another third is private commissions mm-hmm. From people. And then the other third would be sales of prints and things that I make from the artwork that I create.
Nice.
And certainly that's helped in this past year with no shows. Can't make any sales directly to fans if you're not at a show. And so, the interest in opening up the internet to sales for, because I publish little books sometimes, and I publish prints, and mm-hmm. and I did a coloring book last summer, for people if they wanted to do some adult coloring. And things like that, it gave me an opportunity to do it, during the lockdown. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to continue with that. It's definitely advanced. I'm getting more interest in the commissions. I'm doing larger commissions at a higher price. Mm-hmm. And as long as that happens, I'm happy. But I'm happy doing commercial work too. Anything that I can do artistically and creatively that keeps my interest and keeps me going. Yeah, mm-hmm. I'll do it. No problem at all. Just all you have to do is call me. It's so odd that, I still get, messages, how do I talk to you about having a cover for my book? Yeah. Well, you talk to me. I'd love to have a cover for my book, but I can't afford you. And I said, I'd say, why can't you afford me? Oh, you're too expensive. I said, did you ask me what I charge?
Yeah.
So, I've been a commercial artist for all my creative life. I know what the market is, and I'm not going to mm-hmm. price myself out of the market if someone wants me to do a piece of work.
Yeah.
I don't make a living if I say no to work. Mm-hmm. If it's a low ball, I'm going to say no. If it's a reasonable price, I'm going to say yes. If it's a price that's higher than what I would normally get, I'll say yes, please.
Mm-hmm. So now, for any viewers out there that are watching that are, we had a lot of comic creators, independent creators that crowdfund that watch our channel. If they want a Dave Dorman cover, where's the best place to get the proper contact information? Is it your website?
My website has my direct email on it, mm-hmm. right on the front page. And then the Facebook mm-hmm. obviously has a private message, so anyone can message me or leave a note on my, whatever the main page is, whatever. I'm not hidden anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm always happy to hear, what other people have to say, and certainly if it's an interesting project, I'll certainly consider it.
Very good.
Yeah, so don't think that I'm out of the price range. That's happened.
Just gotta ask, right?
Yeah, just gotta ask. That's happened to many artists. I talk to a lot of artists that have been around in the business for a while, mm-hmm. and they say the publishers think that because you've been around, your prices just keep going up and up and up. Well, they go up depending on how popular it is. I'm not getting the money I was getting when I was doing Star Wars covers. But, I'm still willing to do the work because I love the work and I got to make a living. So people still think I'm making Star Wars money. I'm not making Star Wars
every
money.
Little bit helps.
Every little bit helps.
Right,
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. So yeah, they could just reach me through the email or through the Facebook. I've got a Twitter account which I don't follow. That probably is good according to Richard.
Yeah, but if you keep the Twitter with just your art, just your work,
yeah,
keep it positive.
Yeah, that's what
I think it would help tremendously. Don't you think, Nile?
Oh yeah,
Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, she just
Instagram.
Says, put up the art, don't comment, just post it and just keep doing that.
Get out.
So
that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So that's it. I'm always open to hear from people. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, Dave, I appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us, and chatting. We've been wanting to have you on since since we started this channel, Billy. We've always talked we always talk about who we gonna get on, and Dave's always been in that list. So I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Dr. Blevins today, and he said he had reached out to you several times, and that you didn't reply.
Who was that?
Brian Blevins said he reached out to you a couple of times, and I guess you were just too busy. So I had to call him personally. No.
Maybe, yeah. I'll look back in his name and see if I got some messages.
I'm not going on those stupid streams.
Now you're on our stupid show.
Denise is standing right in back of me over here, and she'll agree with me that I'm the worst at responding to email and messages and stuff.
Well, so. Dave, listen. When you're any of your new projects coming out, I think you should crowdfund your own work. I think you should have another Art of Dave Dorman book.
That is a possibility. I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, I think if you do an Indiegogo on it, it would be huge.
Thank you.
Huge.
Thank you, Billy.
And I told Jeff Smith this a year ago, and he just hit almost $300,000 on his new book. So
nice. I think could use a little bit of that.
Yeah, and but as always, I just think we're both huge fans of yours, and we're just it really is a privilege. It's always a privilege just looking at your work, and it truly is a privilege to be talking to you here and sharing
your
art process and everything like that.
Yeah, well, certainly with shows starting up, I look forward to seeing you in person at some point.
Absolutely,
in the next little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're gonna be there. Sure.
And Nile, we'll catch up at one of the shows, I'm sure.
Definitely. It was great talking to you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a fun evening, and I'm glad that I didn't stumble too much. Sorry about Froggy.
No worries.
Yeah, my allergies are killing me too, though, today. So.
Yeah. All right.
I'd like to see Dave Dorman Rocketeer too, though.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
I've done some Rocketeers.
Have you?
Yeah, I'll post one tomorrow.
All right.
How's that?
There we go. Perfect. And everyone, thanks for tuning in tonight live. And if you're watching this recorded, thanks for doing that. And make sure to click that subscribe button below and the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And also stay tuned. Tuesday we will have just some royalty in the comic book industry as well. We've got Sarah Frazetta joining us, so we're going to talk with Sarah.
Talk the legacy of Frank.
Yes, the legacy of Frank Frazetta with Sarah Frazetta.
I may have to make a point of tuning in.
Yeah,
you're going to have to.
I follow her on Facebook, so very
She's
cool.
a peach.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We'll have a great night, and we will see you all on Tuesday.
Thank you, Dave.
Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Be safe.
Dave, anytime you want to come on. All right.
I appreciate that, Billy. You may see me a little bit more often than you want.
All right, I think we'll get him on some of our ensemble pages streams too, Nile.
Oh yeah, because we do some. We talk technique. We do things, just talk about stuff, or it could just be other types of topics.
Yeah, send me a
just
message.
a hangout.
Let me know. Yeah,
we'll do.
When Mandalorian starts up.
I heard that.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us on POPXP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the POPXP and over on Instagram at the POPXP. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon.